pride flag and everything. Well, good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. You are joining us here today on Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. It's our special Pride edition of our new book showcase. And I am so thrilled today that we have such a just smashing reading ahead for you. Um, I have been so eager to have these folks on today, and some of them I've known their work for a long time, and some I've just learned about in the past couple months. But I have to say that, Jack, your book, if I were to give a prize for the best title of a collection, I think your collection would be it. Because, folks, it's Hocus Pocus Bogus Locus. It's the best title ever. I love it. I just love it, right? Isn't it amazing? It's so amazing. The poetry of all of these poets is incredible. And I am so looking forward to the constellation of poetry that we're going to hear today from Elaine Sexton, Jack Jung, Robin Reagler, and Timothy Liu. Again, this is I couldn't ask for a better quartet for our new book showcase Pride edition this month of June. And it is I'm here in Olympia, Washington, my old hometown, with you all today. My name is Sandy Yannone, your host for Cultivating Voices Live Poetry, and this is our fifth anniversary year. So this fifth go around the sun with Cultivating Voices in Pride Month is so special to me as a member of the LGBTQ community. And I am very pleased that all of you here in Zoom are joining us live, and those of you who might be watching us live on Facebook, welcome. Well, today, before we get started, I want to just say thank you so much to last week's incredible features, and all of you on the open mic for our Poets Focus on prayer. And wow, did you folks come out in droves to share your poetry on the open mic for what was such a very transcendent reading. And thank you so much to our features, Donna Spirit Metz and Laura Foley, for joining us and really setting the tone to get us moving on our Poets Focus. It was our last Poets Focus before we go on summer hiatus. This today will be our last new book showcase before we go on summer hiatus. But at the end of the program today, I will be highlighting what's coming up as our finales before we go on summer hiatus. So stay tuned for that. Well, before I introduce Elaine Sexton, let me remind you all that our chat here in our Cultivating Voices Zoom live studio is live. Please do send your comments, your beloved messages to our readers, encouraging and supporting them, and giving them the shout outs for their beautiful poetry that they're about to share with us today. I always like to remind folks, our readers, if you have content that you feel like might benefit from a content notice for our listeners, please feel free to do that. And other than that, let's just sit back and enjoy the incredible poetry that we're about to hear today. Well, our first reader, again, as I said, I've known Elaine Sexton for a long time. I've been following her very illustrious career. I love her books, and for me, it's incredibly special to be able to welcome and support a person who is celebrating a new and selected collection of poems. And that is what we are here today with Elaine Sexton, who her latest collection is site specific, new and selected poems from Grid Books. So I want to just congratulate you, Elaine, on that incredible milestone. It's really a testament to your steadfastness. I mean, your artistry and your just ability to, just keep going in this crazy world of poetry. And so I just want to say just my heartiest congratulations. And I've had the beauty of seeing Elaine read live already from this book. If I could have made it to another live reading between when I saw you first in Bedford, and now I would have, but truth be told, there's likely another live reading in on my schedule with this book. So thank you for being here. Here is Elaine's formal biography. Elaine Sexton is the author of site-specific new and selected poems from Grid Books. It's just very recently out, everyone. The Post Office, a chamber opera in poems written in collaboration with Laura Kaminsky, was performed this spring as part of the Opera Fusion New Work Cincinnati Opera. Previous books are Drive, also from Grid Books, Prospect Refuge from Sheep Meadow Press, Causeway, and Sleuth, two different books, also from New Issues. She has new work recently published in the American Poetry Review. New poem just came out in Plowshares, 5 Points, and On the Seawall. And thank you just for being the virtuoso person that you are. Opera, poetry, painting, what don't you do? And we're so glad to have you here on Cultivating Voices. I can't believe this is only the first time you're in a featured role. This will not be the last, but welcome and thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you for that enthusiastic welcome. Um, anyway, I want to thank everybody involved in this, Don and Kim, and I'm looking forward to hearing my fellow readers also. Um, and thank you for everyone who's logged in. Okay, so I'm going to read from site specific, and most of you know that a new and selected is kind of a This Is Your Life collection. There are 27 new poems, and there's selections from each of my previous four books. So I'm going to read a little bit from each of them. Uh, I'm going to start with a poem from Drive, a previous collection called Ride. Ride. The most beautiful thing about a convertible is hair. And the most beautiful thing about hair is its disposition. Dead, but alive in the skin, in the air, the skin holding on to each strand for dear life. Alive in the wind. The most beautiful thing about the wind passing over the skin is sensation. Cellular, invisible, metabolic. What is metabolic is life sustaining. And the most life sustaining thing I can think about today is decency. And decency is blind, unseen, until it isn't. So, in the This Is Your Life part of this collection, I'm going to read a couple poems from a previous, earlier book, which are really kind of about heartbreak and then later the recovery from that. Uh, the title of this poem is Suspect. We are always warring over what we can't touch to see. There's the moon again. Even absent, the moon powers over us the way dreams do. What would be different if thoughts were speech? I paint you on the mowing, knowing you doze each night on a camp cot, looking up. Here the dogged poppy heads wait to be cut back, leggy, wooden, dead. Even in this heat, the moon drops a kind of frost, making everything look the way love looked, losing light. The dark as sharp as what's lit, with no one to watch over it. So I haven't read on Zoom for a while, but so it's kind of odd, like reading into the void and not hearing people's response. But okay, here we go. I'm going to read another poem from a previous collection. The title of this poem is Oh Well. A streak of white fell like wet paint and landed on the back of her head, her shoulder, and slid down her back. Something like a gull exhaled and left before landing on a piling, where a man in a two-piece yellow slicker hosed down a rig infused with the stink of dead or dying porgy carcasses, crated and lining the sound side of the docks. Even now I think of her, 2 years dead, paintbrush in hand, at the beach or in bed with nothing on, the cross of her forehead so deep no one can touch it. I miss her. I miss her and whisper, it doesn't matter when I try to keep her alive, and oh well, when I decide not to. She looks around for something to wipe the gluey white ash from the nape of her neck. Shit, a halo of excrement. So Sandy mentioned or alluded to art. So I've been an art writer and editor for the last 2 decades. So a number of poems in this book are, I wouldn't even call them ekphrastic poetry because they're not about the artwork themselves, but really about the artists or the act of making. Uh, so this poem is about the artist Alice Neal. And just as some of you may know, just toward the end of the pandemic or the end of the worst of the pandemic, the Metropolitan Museum did a retrospective or a survey show of her work. And the title comes from the signage. And I'm going to read you the epigraph from the signage from a self-portrait. And I posted this incredible self-portrait of Alice Neal on Facebook, and it was removed because I guess it was just too unappealing. I don't know. It was reinstated, but here we go. So the signage is here, Neal brings her blunt, scrutinizing gaze to bear on her own elderly body, a gesture aimed squarely at ageist, sexist society, unused to seeing bodies like hers represented in fine art and popular culture. Here, Neal. I think about what we are unused to seeing. I think about bodies like hers. I think about fine art. I think about popular culture. I think about a gesture aimed squarely at ageism. I think about a gesture aimed squarely at sexism. I think about a gesture aimed squarely at bodies like hers. I think about gestures aimed squarely at fine art. I think about gestures aimed squarely at popular culture. I think about blunt. I think about scrutiny. I think about gesture. I think about art. I'm going to switch out a poem because I see that Ingrid, Louise Fishman's widow, is here with us tonight. And I have a poem about Louise Fishman that I'd like to read, another amazing artist that we lost recently. Um, let me quickly find it. Last night in the country. The painter posted a picture of a dark sky with a dark tree in it. The caption read, Last night in the country. A statement that is Also, a question. Early in quarantine, she made tiny abstract paintings dashed at her dining room table each night. Did she mean it was her last night in the country before returning to her workspace in town? Or did she mean this was a picture she had taken last night and not the night before and not during the day? Did she mean she was leaving the country, this country, her body, her head, her family, and this a picture of her last night as American? Did she not? She did not leave the country, this country, with travel severely restricted. She did not go anywhere out of this world that day, that night, but maybe in paint, in and out of her head, in and out of her hand, in and out of her house, in and out of her body, her lovers, her pets, her fields, her knowing. Um, there's an exhibit up right now in New York through the end of June at the Wexler Gallery on the Upper East Side of Louise Fishman's work, and I will be doing a reading there June 21st. So if anyone in the audience is a New Yorker, please come. And even if you can't make the reading, please go and see the work. It's an absolutely spectacular exhibit. Um, okay, the next poem I'm going to read about you. The title is About You, and in a previous, this is my third book, Prospect Refuge, a friend was reading the manuscript and he said, there's a lot of yous in this book. And he found it confusing. Like, when is the you, the reader, or the self? Anyway, this poem is a response to that, which is in the book and I think maybe covers every base that you could imagine. Okay. About you. There are so many of you. The lover you, the ex-lover you, the best friend, you, the neighbor, the analyst, driver, co-worker, the hover mother you, the alarm ringing, troublemaking, finger wagging, never listening to a word I say you, all the yous who are stand-ins for the many me's as referred to in the second person or third person. The you I'll call the she I can't stand, I can't live with or without. The group you, the sick and dearly departed you, the dying and paralyzingly alive you, the one who disappears when needed, the you that goes by another name, as in when you are a dog or a tree or the sea, or an implement disguised as a plane landing, or a pen, or the ink that leaves clues when it dries. The Rorschach you, blotted, sobbing, exposing the all or nothing you, the self-conscious, unconscious trace of you. The you when the two of you met, fell in love, settled for less than expected, got more than you bargained for. The you who cannot spend another day, another minute, another lifetime of this bliss together. The you I expected, regretted, ponderous, careless, the never look back you, the curious, perseverating, deal making, deal breaking, Pollyanna, sky is falling you, the you who is siren and Barker both, sweet and silent, sometimes humming a tune no one will ever hear or want to. The you so few would ever understand, because that you, the real you, the original, authentic you who can only be read in translation, who is always an approximation, cross-cultural, cross-gendered, ambi-everything, all-purpose, visible, irreplaceable, admired, abandoned only to be recovered, the you who appears in every poem I ever wrote or ever will write, the one I love, am devoted to, the you who needs no introduction, that's you, just you. So, my sorrow over a failed relationship in the past recovered quite beautifully to, and when I met Nora, my wife, uh, maybe 15, maybe 16 years ago. When we were getting to know one another's friends, of course, one thing she wanted me to meet was this tree, her favorite tree. And many of you, I don't know if everyone knows a copper beech, but there are these spectacular trees, and it was a favorite spot of hers. So this poem, it's a more recent poem, but it was about this experience almost two decades ago. And the title of the poem is Copper Beech. Because it had been literally 4 decades since I last climbed a tree, I stood a long while watching you overhead. Your elbows disappeared in the sheets of plum dark leaves, so cool in the heat. I pressed my face against the bark. I patted your dog's snout, lost, my body touching the idea of leaving Earth. I wrapped my arms around a trunk wider than my own, growth and decay in my mouth. I kissed the twins, fear and ecstasy, my feet where my shoulders once were. My fingers reached for the sole of your shoe. A blanket of green held me in its arms, the backsides of leaves last seen from the ground. Okay, I'm going to read one more poem. And this poem was published in the most recent issue of Plowshares. It's called Poetry. And again, thank you. Thank you everyone who came tonight. Um, it's a privilege to be in this reading series. As Sandy is like I call her a kind of zealot. She seems to be everywhere. In addition to producing these readings, so many of them all year long. She is a prolific traveler and reader. And anyway, thank you, Sandy, for having me here. Poetry. When the air is this soft, when insects and birds are the soundtrack, when your skin is dried salt from the sea and your clothes are strung out on a line in a yard whose path to the road is familiar and empty and open to an ocean you hear but can't see, whose wash is alive with a friend who is dead and has yet to confess he will ever be otherwise, whose voice keeps your grieving at bay, for the heart that keeps breaking is yours, as the past coexists with the present. And this standalone moment is cool, is safe, is no one you know is suffering or dying or trying to. And this intimate weather is real, is breathing, is unasked for, untethered, a place where your heart and the heart you once broke forgives you and retreats to, after exposing themselves like roadkill, whose corpse threatens to upstage what surrounds it, where you discover how culpable and capable of cruelty you can be or have been, but also of practicing its opposite, where time is now animate and exceptional, but also reliably, unaccountably unkind. Thank you, everyone.
What a beautiful reading. I have to admit that I did not travel with your book. I didn't bring it. I had so many. If I did, I would have had to have brought so many books with me. So, but I usually I like to flash the cover of the book and um but what I really there it is. Yes, that thank you. Thank
And
you.
now that you mention it, I just want to mention the artist. The cover of the book is a painting by watercolor by Amy Sillman, an amazing artist, and it's called A Shape That Stands Up and Listens, this particular painting. So she was very kind to let me use this. So, oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love the cover. I love what's inside the cover. And I have three, I think I have three different things to say. Well, maybe four. When I say three, that usually means four. Well, one, yeah, thank you for your kind words about, me being Zelig. Here is the thing. People have heard me say this a million times over. It is my absolute, it is the greatest pleasure of my life to be able to hold this space with and for poets. And I am the greatest beneficiary because I get to listen to incredible poetry of the 21st century right before my very eyes when I went. So the thanks really is to all of you who agree to read with us and come and listen, as I enjoy doing. So really, thank you, Elaine. The second thing, again, congratulations on the new and selected. I want to say to have a poem called Poetry in Plowshares is a testament to of the power of your poetry. I mean, it is, you know, I don't think I could ever pull off a poem called Poetry. I don't think I would, I don't think I would tempt those waters. And the fact that wrote the poem, you not only wrote the poem, you sent it to Plowshares. And not only did you send it to Plowshares published the poem. Says everything I need to know about you as a poet. I mean, of course I know other beautiful things. So
Thank you.
just more indications of like how you are in this beautiful, beautiful space where you are getting confirmation after confirmation that you had always arrived, but you've really arrived now. You're fully here and being recognized for the poet that you've always been and will continue to evolve. And I wanted to say, this is the third thing, is the poem um, about you. I love that. I love that poem. And I think second person poems are so fascinating. And so not only is it a poem about, it's this litany of views. And I love I like, again, it kind of takes the idea of when we're thinking always, we're like always concerned, who is the you in the poem? Jason Schneiderman, who I know you know, has like these amazing you poems in Self-Portrait of Icarus as a country on fire, and I love what he does with the you, but you took it like to this next level by really naming the litany of views. It's almost like this hall of mirrors of views, and it's really, really incredible. And then finally, everyone should be so fortunate to have a husband, a wife, lover, partner that they can look back on and write that poem about when they first met in like such an iconic way and so beautifully. So I love that poem, Copper Beach. Thank you for taking us on the journey of your career through site specific, your new and selected poems. I look forward to the next time I hear you read, and I wish I could see you read with Joan Larkin, of course. But
Oh yes, that the reading
yeah,
on
we just put that in the chat. So
June 20, June 20.
feel free also to put in the chat about the feel free to put in the chat about the reading and exhibit that you were mentioning before. Put that in the chat as well. Feel
Louise
free to
Fishman.
utilize
Yes,
the chat.
I
Yeah.
will.
Okay, take care. Thank you so much.
Thank
Sit
you, Will.
back, enjoy the rest of the poetry, as I'm going to do as we now pivot to, I get to introduce Jack. Jack Young. I'm so happy that my dear friend, Kate Flaherty's in the room. Kate Flaherty's dear friend, Sherry Flick, introduced us. We
Mm.
had this very, very brief but beautiful meeting at AWP in Los Angeles. Sherry was telling me while we were in our hotel room you've got to meet Jack, Sandy. You've got to meet Jack. You've got to meet Jack. And we had that fortuitous meeting, and I bought Jack's book. And I couldn't get to the stack of books right away, but I knew I was going to invite Jack to read on um, at some point here on Cultivating Voices. And when I got to the book and I started reading from Jack's book, Hocus Pocus, Bogus, Locus, I could not put this book down. This book just was like an incredible kaleidoscope of poetry. I just wanted to like be inside this book forever and just let it spin and spin and spin, poem after poem in my head. So to say how excited I am to hear you read from it is an under is a very, very big understatement, because I've been reading the poems, and I truly, truly marvel at them, and now I get to hear them. So thank you, Sherry Flick. Thank you, Jack. And thank you to Black Square Editions, your your publisher. Uh, did they ever did they ever know that they found in you an amazing poet and an incredible collection? Thank you for joining us. And now here is the formal biography. Jack Saebyok Jung is a 2024 National Endowment of the Arts Translation Fellow. So he's not only an incredible, incredible poet of his own accord, he does beautiful translations, and author of, as I said, folks, write this title down: Hocus, Pocus, Bogus, Locus, from Black Square Editions, just out this year. A Truman Capote Fellow at the Iowa Writers Workshop, he co-translated Yi Sang selected works from Wave Books, which was winner of the Modern Language Association's Scaglione Prize. That is a prize of very, very high esteem, everyone. If you're not familiar with that, that's one of the a very, very high esteem in translation. And he teaches I have not been yet, but because of Sherry Flick, I've heard the beautiful, amazing campus of Davidson College um, in the Carolinas. So welcome, Jack, and thank you for being here. And I cannot wait to hear your poems.
Oh, Sandy, thank you so much for that incredible introduction. I hope I live up to the hype. And Elaine, that was incredible poetry. So thank you so much for sharing it with us. Uh, so yeah, this is the book Focus, Pocus, Bogus, Locus. The amazing cover art is by artist Una Kim, whom my editor John Yao knew, and he saw the painting and he thought, this is it for the book. And I've been very blessed with this painting titled Alien. Uh, like many first books, I think this took a long time going through a digestion. So it comes from many different eras of my life. And part that I decided I was going to read today is actually from a particular period in 2019. I was still in Iowa City. It was They were telling on the radio that it was the coldest winter that Iowa had ever gone through. It was literally as cold as Antarctica in two of the days, and it was also during the last administration of the current administration. And I remember just feeling with the way the world was, from the environment to the politics. I had a sense of a kind of an anger that was growing inside of me, and these poems sort of came out of wanting to, I think, express that anger with a bit of a discordant sound. So I they they tend to have a particular sound. So these are poems that come at the end of the book as well. First one is titled Hammer. Feeling extra technical, almost lyrical, almost an extraterrestrial, terraforming fanatical. Caltech engineers cannot calculate tactically weaponized nuking of my rate. When it's so freaking fast, I've already passed what predetermined fate cannot emancipate. All according to the procedure similar to illegal contrabanding of brands and pedicures, and the ecumenical dogma of an animated corpse anticipated in the walk up to the final boss is the territorial nature of a brood mother in her cage. So this sentiment sanctifies, don't wait, all the ecclesiastical particulars of proclamations barked out and sentimentalizes Ozymandias' Odes. Each piece, a collateral collective bargaining memorandum of acts thrown off verandas, the ghost of post-it notes, my Miranda, word orgy, scoured of pathology, 1,000-time fold of bad iron can't fix. Tower. Use the blue toothpaste. Do not hesitate. Go in my mouth, clean out any natural shape. None of that herbal shit. I want industrial strength. Help me get over this flu before the date. Connect via Bluetooth the speakers to my phone. I've got to say I didn't kill today. The trial period over, God tear us asunder, confuse our tongues, the tower will remain in disrepair, we left it. Horror is now neighbor. Call Aurora, a wizard's gone apostate. The state ran out of money for police, but the festival is in full swing on Acropolis. The lightning arc hits many targets at once. Once out of this project, I shall never take Lake Superior for granted, its ocean likeness. May he who can dunk his head in it at the end of the winter of our discontent put up some tent around the shore and wait for the tower with ivory shine of my teeth to crumble into lacustrine deposits. Next one, I think, came about because I was reading the judges in the Bible and I was looking at Samson, and then I was also watching Breaking Bad for the first time. My jawbone looks like this mandible of manatee in cryotherapy, theoretical donkey jaw, perhaps a Samsonite, a carry-on for sky-scorching jet fuels, Israelite with superhuman God-given strength, are the bags made of minerals that some son ate. Silver, manganese, antimony, sulfides, and still black monoclinic prismatic crystals. Oh, good chemist, with all this hard science, can we cook pure amphetamines, anti-memes of aging mnemonic devices? The mathematics required are already breathless. A mouth falls off reciting hyped up charges. The ice jawbone melting down its DNA. Without rest can it make a speech. This new crystal skull of prolonged absence euthanized by the blind, who got his mojo back with rock star hair, pushing the pillars and Delilah dead. Dust rarely settles on his destroyed arena, a heavy trunk holding two bodies. Loving your barber is a dear price to pay. So I think many of these came about also. I was taking this class, one of the seminars at the workshop. Jim Galvin was my teacher at the time, and he was showing us all these alliterative verses and talking about how this is kind of the backbone of Anglo-Saxon Old English poetry, but then pretty much no one really does it anymore other than in nursery rhymes. And I think something about that made me curious how one might do it again and also really have this kind of sound focus thing with my own poems. I think I was also hoping to sort of blow up the style that I had at the time and try something very different. City of Light. Gorgeous as bourgeois vacation in Paris, where perennial discretion is discarded. Bouncers don't card, bars are out of ballads, all sides lacerated by laconic crowds. The singing inches closer to stricken grief. Crickets on the blades of grass eating old dew. Wild hours spent in secret from the top of the tower I woo. Critical failure at the plant, but no death. The city lights going out for real as gaslighters come out in force and unionize. One of them walks alone in front of me, holding his stick like a spear of holy flame. Animals are butchered for cherished fuel. Point of no return, hamburger extinction, the ambergris of whales is needed again, and every slaughter on seafaring ships keeps the city true to its sobriquet. Um, that one, I think I was thinking about Moby Dick and how it was really about also exploring whale industry at the time, and that was basically the oil back then, and hunting those whales down to extinction and what it meant to have those fuels to fuel the cities. And again, this was written during the coldest winter, so I was really feeling the need for fuel, and also how the environment was changing so much because of our consumption of such energies, and how that's been going on for quite a while now. Candles. Desecrated deserter secretes secrets, illicit rendezvous with enemy alone. A preacher orates in search of opportunities for the skirmishes finale that his love of ice chipping against crystal glass exposes. Tinkered and twinkling, I was made a chandler in the other life, neither black nor silver, but a lightsmith. Generalissimo needs me to see his maps. Subterranean wars want warriors. Let us let the tarantula win for us all. One of its legs pours wax. Another churns, froth in the urn, mistaken for a grail. Stick a knight in a store, he'll starve for sure. Ongoing arbitration paying child support. He asks for a light to light the documents that made him a sycophantic eunuch. Is this too much? Let me wrap it in silk and open the gate when all's asleep. Lions. Deep inside crystal-encrusted canyons sleep hungry tonight. The prey never adjusted to the apex of an ancient pyramid. The guardsmen on the watchtower power nap. Applications denied as cautionary tales. Runny nose on cold nights. Pussycats lick faces for salt to season. The rat remains stuck on claws no law-abiding citizen should have. The Constitution is unclear. When out of the oblivion-inducing opium fog, two eyes emerge like lions rotting in state. The guardsmen have no one they can get to mark the apparition for comprehension. So be lion for now and lie with me. Take off our loincloths. Pretend we never bit and let the juices run down our chins. Republic. Res Publica, rhapsodized in Sound of Furies. Its broken formations found in anecdotes. Octogenarians in dotage bankrupting postage. Good time to leave now. The melting snow and muck of dead leaves still rotting on yellow grass of my rented house's unkempt yard. A Mac mansion meant for a family with 3 kids now hosting 5 or more graduated underaged who don't know metrical measurement. Can fellatio substitute rent? I hear them beating out on the other side. Today's porn stars act so good, the desperation a rope-walk toward precipice of bankruptcy is so believable. Even the slumlord requires their silent service to go postal. Retaliations on anyone who wants to know things we know, and things we do not know, we do not know. Sick transit. Forgiveness is difficult, but permission, I don't feel I need to. It's too much too late when we are already at the Ides of March. As per usual, are you here with a mission? Are you the mission? Remission won't allow a redo of a failure. A body remembers it was dying after all. Whatever disease science hasn't fixed yet, the predetermined cell division guarding against the vision of immortality. Caesar, why not admit it and declare martial law, jail opponents for no reason, orchestrate false flags and have casus belli? You still want people's love? Scratch your belly. I know folks who named cats after you. You're not the main character of the play that is your namesake. That July you killed Vercingetorix in Rome while conversing with your favorite dominatrix. Did they tell you Gloria is sick and she's transitioning after a mundane day? Ride or die. Abide no more, start the bidding now. Artistic astronauts turned aristocratic technocrats. Rat out the Mad Hatters drinking cooled off chai. Bow ties on tie-dyed old white t-shirts stopped going to stars to drive electric cars with stimulants simulating light speed, fulfilling the need of going beyond the limit while never reaching anywhere significant. Fecundity of condescending statements abound. Bondage of gravity is exercised with a rave. Thousands of teenagers making human waves at a stadium with girl groups in diadems. You can get these stars if you are a billionaire. Have them named after you for all I care. When the generation ship reaches a distant star, perhaps the name you give will be a god. Choose wisely, choose foolish. Even after a swig from the grail, Indiana Jones got old. Manifesto. Parabellum. So that's a Latin for prepare for war. I don't know why all these Latin phrases ended up here. Parabellum. What volume for your casus belli? Divine and just, or dine out until dusk? The muskiness of this mob is enough for a helicopter to opt out of observing this rally. Go down this alley, my ally, and allay poor unfortunate souls with bowls of soup. Bone broth is worth the trouble of getting birth. Ergo, let's churn out a run-of-the-mill coup d'etat, not de gras. Figure skating banned for its proximity to pornography. Rumor is prima donna kicked the prime minister where the sun don't shine. Madonna, my domina, do you know they painted you holding your dying son in the rationing line? A child's corpse starts a revolution. Insanity of volition collides into reason and makes a coalition of desperate elements. But my revolt is kaput if I put on appassionata. Passion is the manifesto's a priori. Uprising mixtape. Par aspera ad astra, as men. Be more strategic in scrupulous reading, my pretender brother. Also be my reader. Aspire to comprehend what I mean. I've got nothing left to give but a lackluster, illustrious line to last 1,000 years you still won't read. I am done dumbing myself down for the denominator. Nominate the exterminator for president for all I care. So courage, friend, and let's illegally copy digitalized library of bribed talents. The capital is ripe with corruption and erupts and interrupts nothing in our day-to-day expenses. Sometimes I join an uprising for its mixtape, but you gotta earn it to own it, so go on and get it. If you want the moon, then rocket at it. She is a harsh mistress in open revolt. Tense tackle, baby, must have sounded good in the 60s. If there ain't no such thing as lunch, why are my favorite sci-fi writers fascists? The narrative of what comes after Vox Populi must speak in one voice. That was maybe a little bit of dig at Robert A. Heinlein, for those of you who know. And also, I think many of the current contemporary technocrats often cite these wonderful classics of science fiction as being their inspirations. And sometimes you wonder, wow, you really can misread text completely and get wrong lessons out of them. Counter-revolutionary. All poets are failed politicians, no good tacticians, who can't act or police their behaviors. Not exactly carnivores, but hard to say herbivores. Have to say whatever they mean to your face, praise you like the bells of the church and tell you you're not a goddamn island. Or never say anything even if you and I know what both are thinking. You find them hacking up a cup of hairballs. The fountain of knowledge they bring is a mountain with a point, though everything is written in scripts older than hieroglyphs. Brief is the operative word when the road to perdition is enough for a petition for the assembly to stop the proceedings. Yet the parts needed to build this colossus is still in factory waiting to be assembled. The semblance of balance it will make standing tall over the white harbor with its flaming torch, a history erased by natural disasters. And here is one last poem titled Gone Boy. Definitely was thinking about Gone Girl. I had an interesting sort of a talk with a Korean friend of mine who saw the title Gone Girl, and then there is something in Korean called ganyeon, which is a really kind of mean way of saying a woman who's gone mad, a very derogatory way. And then online, she was telling me, that's like a really mean way of translating. And then I was like, just watch the movie first, and then we can talk about how the translation works or not. But here, this poem was, I think, after our long period of attempting to go through all these discordant sound, maybe bring something back to looking toward the future. So, Gone Boy. Valorize all forms of trash. It's this itch yet to be fully scratched. Oh no, it's not a rash, not infectious. I'm vaccinated, as all immigrants are. Migratory birds, however, who knows? Far from being fresh off the boat, this accent won't get accentuated with tenuous symbols of an organized system as an intro to the cosmic citizenry. One enters by swearing off any allegiances to foreign princes and potentates, still asking for mail-in rebates for taxes unpaid. Positioned for transference into a positronic brain containing composites of what you saw and saw off the best parts from your dug-up loot from the cloak and dagger graveyard shift after this flu epidemic has passed the city. Death has undone the numbers and put them together however you see fit. The world has already passed the vortex. Auroras are up above the jungle's leafless canopy. Tomorrow is another day of one more day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jack. Um, again, the title of your book really is the foreshadow of what we're to see in the collection. The turn on every single word in the title, Hocus, Pocus, Bogus, Locus, and how it really locates what for me as I was reading and then listening today, listening, as I said, I knew was going to be an entirely different experience and so satisfying in that really your poems are like these soundscapes. They're really like these abstract, like still lifes in motion, and they're so unique. They have so many voltas, turns. They rely on every single turn, for us to stay engaged with the poem, to really try to keep up with like the vast mind of the poet in motion, seeing and trying to give voice like to what they're seeing. And I think you were the very first person who has ever in a poem used my very favorite word to describe poetry at its best, which is the word prismatic. And you had prismatic crystals. And I was thinking so much in your poetry how I don't think we got a chance to talk about this when we met, but my father was a stained glass artist.
Mm.
And so I grew up with scoring the glass and also all the cuts. And one of the things that I grew up around were bevels, the bevels with those edges of glass. And I feel like each one of your poems is like this incredible um mindscape of bevels. Like they really they literally are so prismatic. Each poem, each line, each word just takes that edge of the word to another edge, to another edge, to another edge. It's really quite stunning. Thank you so much. I don't think I've heard poetry like yours ever on this program, and I'm super grateful
Thank
to
you
have
so
heard it
much.
today. Thank you, and keep writing, folks. That is the debut collection. This is a debut collection. Hocus Pocus Bogus Locus. Would you put up? Would you? I also
Uh,
didn't. I love your cover too. Like, and thank you for sharing the story about the cover. I love the cover of this book. Um, I'd had it when when I was reading it. Well, when I first got it, I just kept it by me all the time. And even before I opened it, I kept loving looking at that cover. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so curious about what's inside. And then I found out what was inside. And that's what a good cover does, folks. It draws you in. Not only is it a great cover, it's a great collection and a great debut collection. Congratulations. And
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
again. I look forward to next time we interact with each other. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I believe our final reader for today is going to be Robin Reagler, and Robin is also this poet I have known um, for work for a long time. I have truly marveled at it. It really speaks to me. It speaks to kind of my experiences in this LGBTQ world that I live in, and I'm grateful that Robin's poetry was in the world for as long as it's been in the world, for me to be able to read it, because I I needed to have books of poetry to commune with, and Robin's work as a poet is, she's one of those poets for me. I've been kind of secretly in conversation with her poetry, whether she knows it or not, for a long time, and I'm like super grateful. And so all the more we've been talking about having her on the program for for a few years, and it just hadn't quite happened. And today is the day. It won't be the last, of course, but I'm glad I'm glad the day has finally arrived. And how how fitting. I think that the title of your book is incredible. And folks are going to start to, who are not familiar with your book yet, are going to start to understand the unraveling of that title and how it plays itself out through your collection. The title of the latest collection is The Always, not just always, but The Always. And I don't know if you're going to talk about the origins and all of that, but I particularly love the affirmation of the word always with the article the. I think that was a stroke of genius on your part, and I can't wait to hear from the collection. And folks, you'll know what I'm talking about. I got to hear Robin read recently at AWP in Los Angeles, and it's always a pleasure, whether it's online or in person, which doesn't happen that often. And I'm glad it happened when it did, and now get to follow up here on Cultivating Voices live poetry. Well, here is Robin has had a very, very illustrious career as not only as a poet, but a consummate poetry citizen, and you will hear this in her biography. Robin Reagler is the author of The Always. It's coming very, very shortly from Flower Song Press. It's June now, like we're very, very close, right? Like we're super, super close.
I
Like
hope so.
I hope so. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I know. Her other publications include Night Is This Anyway by Lily Poetry Review Press. Again, I was talking to your editor, Eileen Cleary, at the Massachusetts Poetry Festival just last weekend, and I told Eileen Cleary, I said, I think that your press is one of the best presses in the country. So congratulations on being with Lily as well. I love what they do. And Teeth and Teeth from Headmistress Press. Everybody knows Headmistress Press, one of my favorite presses in the country, which was winner of the Charlotte Mew Prize, selected by Natalie Diaz. And Dear Red Airplane from Seven Kitchens Press. Robin, you've kind of just ticked off all the presses that I love, like all the presses. How do you do it? I don't know. It's because you're an amazing poet. That's how you do it. For 22 years, she served as executive director of Writers in the Schools, otherwise known as WITS. You've seen the acronym if you're here in the States. And she led the National Writers in the School Alliance. She also chaired the Association of Writers and Writing Programs, AWP Board of Trustees, and was also on LitNet, the National Advocacy Group for Literary Organizations. This is what I'm saying, folks, when I say we are in the presence of an incredible poetry citizen here in the United States who's been doing the good work in support of poetry and literacy for decades. She is currently the director of the Honors College at Houston Community College, and that's an incredibly difficult and satisfying, I hope, job, career, and I look forward to whatever is next in your illustrious career, because I know that you always have something in your back pocket that's going to happen, but for now, it is the always. Please help me in welcoming Robin Reagler.
Thank you, Sandy, for what that is a wonderful introduction, and thank you for inspiring me. I selected poems today with emphasis on the word pride in our signage, and I think, Sandy, that you are one of the most frankly queer people I know, and
That's the best
therefore,
compliment I've ever received.
And so I tried to choose poems that were similarly frank today. So we'll see. They some of them are from the Always, which is the new book, and is still on pre-order. So I think the link will appear soon, if not already. But I went way back and tried to find some frankness here. I was born in a small town in Arkansas, and a very small town. And this poem is set there. You'll see that it tips a hat to Elizabeth Bishop's poem, The Shampoo. And it is called Nocturne, which you probably already know is a night song. Nocturne. Night must have dangled something silvery in our faces, something seductive, an older person's version of the double dare. We were returning to my hometown for a visit. We, my lover and I, we drove downtown, parked the car in front of my parents' store, and eyed the windows to the left and right. Then we crossed the street to the ancient barber shop called Glenn's. We walked down the side alley to the back alley, and with a Swiss Army knife, she jimmied open the barber's door. Gliding through the murky dark that smelled of dust and hair tonic, we allowed ourselves one light. It illuminated the black plastic combs in pale blue water. In the almost opaque aquarium in one corner of the room, lethargic guppies lurked among chunks of the unnameable. In this flowerless place, I shampooed her hair, scrubbing to the cadence of the bare light bulb that buzzed above. It seemed like a long time to me. I felt that old fairy tale fear. But we were adults, capable of sin and charity, rendering a quieter image into the picture book of love. Thank you. I think some of you remember that one from the past. The next few are from the new book, which is called The Always. And just to add a little bit, because Sandy mentioned it, the bookends of that book are poems that are called The Always of Grief and The Always of Love, love and grief being sort of two halves of the same whole. And it is a book written after losing both of my parents. This one is sort of more on the love side than the grief side, but as I said, they always go together. And it's called The Brightening. Am I remembering or imagining this history of the body that can't be shared? To begin, holding your bare feet in my hands, I find your story, and it is told slowly by your toes and soles and ankles. I am shy, yet daredevil. And in the moment when sex glitches nowishly, it becomes a means toward understanding the bodies of the body. Yes, our bodies, two sway into one, a single story that starts with the twin sisters, pleasure and pain, who have ridden for hours and reddening with muscularity and ferocity, they come out everywhere. Then the oceanic pull as my fist rolls inside you, rocking you, liquid to bone, to home. At my queerest, I am a mouth filled with, I need you. Desire builds on itself, how to describe it. Like stir when you first open this, like bloom inside bloom, inside bloom, like a blood orange ripening in my blindness. And I am more here than ever, and thirsty and hungry and yours. This is also from the new book. All the stars understand that nothing will hush you, that nothing can hurt you, that the tiniest detail can be elevated into a manifesto written by birds, that a dance by people dressed as birds will barrel through the atmosphere, a precise message to the universe. We are morning, we are night birds. We are dead, and the birds bring us messages from the living. We are crestfallen and isolated, and no one can find us, not even the birds. What I really need to talk with you about is tenderness, for nakedness is merely a symbol of it. I call you dream birds because loneliness blooms, love blooms so slowly it cannot be witnessed. Look around. Our love is taste and sound and see, made sad by the beauty of morning. I want to envelop you in a ring of tenderness, from arms to wings. When did this happen? We are flying skyward. So those two are from the new book. I'm going to hop back. This is from Teeth and Teeth, which is the Headmistress Press book that Sandy mentioned. It's called Alternative Names for Us. On one such flammable night, when the stars no longer conspire against me, I arrive at her throat, lips ready to press my love into skin, to ignite a blaze in her nerve endings. And somehow, grief swings a 180, so that instead of her, again, I'm thinking about myself, my mouth swimming inside hers, my desire erasing her need from the dashboard of what even is. I struggle to reclaim some gritty sense of this woman I love, but it is losing upon losing. Another rendition of Let's Get Lost. We twist with violence and beauty in the rounding out space of our single body, twinning. This next one is a hurricane poem. I don't know if Sandy mentioned I live in Houston, Texas, and have for many years. And when you live in Houston, you live through hurricanes, and it's sort of not if, but when. Uh, One of our worst ones was in 2017, Hurricane Harvey, and that is the one that inspired this one. But I may well have poems from each of them. I'm not really sure. They are all a story, that's for sure. And those of you in New York had Sandy, and I think that was probably enough to to prove the point. Um, it's a ritual and a scary one. This poem is called Perhaps. Hurricane Harvey, 2017. As the power gave out, the generator kicked in. As rain fell, I felt her ghost escaping through a window, vanishing into green dusk, as the pet dog found its inner watchdog. I dragged both mutts across the mushy fields of weeds, hurricanes, helicopters buzzing about, filming us, and the rain fell and continued falling in an endless loop of rainfall, and I honestly wondered if perhaps it would not end. If perhaps I should open my mouth wide to catch it, and as it came down and down, at night I never slept. There was nothing to be done. When we made love, it was more about fear and placing a barrier between ourselves and the future, which had become the future as I cataloged the details of the real as the hand that glides inside her, as real as the mouth that takes her on these shores. And with waves crashing down upon us, I told her a story about simple times, a story racing the story I believed was true, because believing came down to this and only this: we are windswept. The the weird thing about Hurricane Harvey was we've never had like days and days and days of rain like that. It's the only one that I've experienced is like that. And it really did make you think, like we need an ark. It was so crazy. I mean, it really did seem like it would never end. So this last one is it's a driving poem, literally driving in a car. We do a lot of driving in Texas, as you may already know. When my parents were passing away, it was at the same time, and they were in Arkansas. I am in Houston. And so I drove it's like 8 hours, 8 hour drive, many, many, many times. And I told one of my friends that, and she said, I bet you could drive it in reverse. And I said, yeah, probably. Anyway, that was the beginning of this poem. And it's called We Holy Thieves. At night, I write to you because the moon's fullness is a bad accident, and I need to travel halfway across Texas, driving in reverse. Our love is a screech owl. We agree on that much. I'm miles past Livingston, past Nacogdoches. The darkness gasps with the blush of sunrise. Nobody recognizes what is so obviously blooming. The beautiful part is you. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Robin. The beautiful part is your reading. Wow. Oh my gosh. I mean, you begin with Nocturne. When you throw down Elizabeth Bishop, like it doesn't get much better, except it just keeps getting better. And I always used to talk with my students, and I still talk with people so much about how joy and grief are always, always holding hands. They always are. And I feel like in poetry, we see that so predominant. We really literally see the embodiment of how joy and grief are always holding hands. It's what poets are able to reach for and articulate so well. And dare I say that, lesbian poets really, really reach for that, and hold those hands so tightly. Hold those hands so tightly. Just the new work is just exquisite. it follows an amazing body of work. I mean, folks, you heard me give the list of Robin's collections. Robin, I'm just gonna say this because you created a really incredible circle, by ending with your poem, drive. That just, brought us right back to Elaine, of course. And you all didn't choreograph this together, but the thing I wanted to emphasize is that you two you're in line for a new and selected works too. I hope one is in the making soon for you, because your body of work really deserves that retrospective as well. So if you need to talk with someone about how to go about that, maybe Elaine will be happy to talk with you. I don't want to put Elaine on the spot, but it seems like I put Elaine on the spot a lot when we're in Zoom.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, so I really thank you for all the collections, and of course, thank you for the always. It is on pre-order right now from Flower Song, and yeah, thank you so much. Incredible, incredible work. Well, everybody, some of you may have been expecting Timothy Liu was going to be our fourth reader. We had we had a we had a situation, and hopefully we'll be able to bring Timothy back for a future reading. I have loved this constellation, this trio of poets today on our Pride edition of our new book showcase for Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. Thank you so much to Elaine Sexton, Jack, Jack Yang, and Robin Reagler. You really showcased um, just the stunning beauty of poetry from very, very different visual scapes. I really did feel like I was in painting after painting after painting. It was like I was in an ekphrastic landscape today, of thinking about poetry and art. They were just they were just it was an incredible gallery of poetry today. Thank you to the three of you immensely. Elaine and Jack and Robin are our triole, are foreshadowing of what is coming up next in our final two readings of our spring slash almost summer season, when we'll take a couple months off. Folks, we're not ending Cultivating Voices Live Poetry Spring Season with just one Poetry Pride Parade. We're doing two in honor of our fifth anniversary. It's our sixth annual Poetry Pride Parades. The first part one is next week, and we will be showcasing the poetry from the anthology Love is for All of Us, Poems of Tenderness and Belonging from the LGBTQ plus community and friends, edited by James Cruz and Brad Peacock. And unfortunately, James and Brad aren't able to be with us, but they encouraged us to forge on with our showcasing the anthology. And we'll be having some poets from the anthology, including one of our lesbian poet trading cards, Kai Kagan, will be with us, and who's in the anthology, sharing one of her poems of belonging. That's one of the front pieces, along with Anya Kirschbaum, Kelly Russell Aganin, Lisa Brieger, and Laura Foley, who was just with us on our prayer program, our Poets Focus on Prayer. That's the first hour. The first hour will be featuring Love is for All of Us. In the second hour, among all of we have an incredible array of poets that will be on the open mic. Some of them will be reading their poems from this anthology from Headmistress Press, A Lavender Review, A Taste, along with poets who are poetry trading cards, lesbian poet trading cards, including Headmistress Press's own Mary Miriam will be joining us along with an incredible array of poets. So I hope that, and some of you on the open mic, so I hope you'll join us. That'll be next week. The following week on the 22nd, it's our Poetry Pride Parade Part 2, where we will be featuring poets from, oh my gosh, let me get my notes here. I have so many notes that I can't even keep track of all of them. That's okay. Oh, most amazing, beautiful anthology. When I Was Straight, a tribute to Maureen Seaton. And we'll be here with edit, and this is on the 22nd, first hour, poets from the anthology with editor Dustin Brookshire. Poets will be joining us from that anthology. Will be Claire Benzadown, Dustin Brookshire, Sarah Cooper, James Davis, J.D. Islip, Caridad Moro Granlier, Mel Scherer, Nicole Talman, and M.T. Vallarta. Those folks will all be with us in the first hour. And in the second hour, again, it will be poets on the open mic, including poets from Lavender Review, A Taste, as well as poets from the Lesbian Poet Trading Card Series. I hope you'll join me for not one, but both of those readings, and we will have some giveaways in the next 2 weeks to close out our spring season. But for now, let's take a moment and unmute and thank again Elaine, Jack, and Robin for our reading today.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Bravo.
Thank you. Well, by the way, Elaine,
Loved
thank
it.
you.
Thank you. Folks, again, last 2 readings of our spring season coming up. Bring your pride gear, bring your bubbles, bring your flags, bring your allyship, bring it all. Bring it all. You know, we are always the better for when we're together. We are always the better when we're speaking our truths, when we're sharing our humanity, when we're telling our stories through that timeless art of poetry. So let's gather together these final 2 readings of our spring season. I look forward to just celebrating with you in full regalia, in full queer swing. And we'll be joining you next week, actually, from Port Ludlow, Washington, with Kelly Russell Aganon by my side. So not only do we have great readers, but I'll be in the presence of one of our readers who's allowing us to have our reading from her home. So thank you for that. And thank you once again to Elaine Sexton, Jack Jung, and Robin Reagler for today's reading. Thank you to Don Krieger and Kim Ports Parsons for your immaculate support of the reading series. We can't do it without you. Thank you to one and all of you here live in our Zoom studio, and those of you who are watching the recording. At some point in this future, we know hundreds and hundreds of you watch every single week. We so appreciate all the support. And as I always say at the end of every single program, friends, you know, take really good care of yourselves this upcoming week. Take exquisite care of your beloveds. And look what happened. Today we had a debut collection, and we had a new and selected, and we have a future new and selected coming up. Look what happens when we write our miraculous poems. Keep doing it. Keep writing, my friends. I will see you next week for the Pride Parade, Part 1. Until then, Sandy Yannone for Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. Keep it real, my friends. Be well.